The story begins with Michael Stones, our bald friend, who used to work as a dangerous assassin for the government. Now, however, he lives alone on a remote and isolated island in Scotland. Some time ago, Michael cut all ties with the agency he once worked for. And since then, he has been living in hiding, far from prying eyes. He has become an extremely lonely man, spending most of his time playing chess and drinking alcohol, trying to forget the pain of the past. The only thing that shares his isolation is a dog he hasn't even given a name yet. Hours later, a boat approaches the island. On board is a man named Nikolai, accompanied by a young girl named Jessie, his niece. The boat arrives every month to deliver supplies to Michael. Nikolai assigns the young girl the task of bringing the provisions to Michael using a small rowboat. She leaves him the box along with a small gift. Michael takes the box but pays no attention to the gift, leaving it behind. A month later, the same routine repeats. Nikolai sails once again with Jessie to deliver the supplies, but this time he warns her not to be late as a powerful storm is approaching. The girl reaches the shore, but she doesn't notice Michael's presence, so she decides to go to his house and knocks on the door. However, Michael treats her coldly and rejects her gift once again. She leaves the supplies outside and walks away. On her way back, the sky suddenly turns dark and a violent storm begins. Nikolai starts shouting at the girl, urging her to return quickly. Jessie runs toward the boat and manages, with great difficulty, to climb aboard, but the raging waves slam into the boat with such force that it overturns into the sea. Suddenly, the dog begins barking. Michael notices the boat capsizing in the storm and rushes to help. He launches his boat into the water and pushes forward through the fierce winds and towering waves. When he reaches the wreckage, he is shocked to find Jessie unconscious and trapped beneath the water, while Nikolai has already died. Michael quickly rescues Jessie, pulls her out of the sea, and carries her back to shore. He revives her and manages to save her life. After they return to the tower, he treats a deep wound in her leg and gently tells her that Nikolai has died. Jessie breaks down in grief over losing her uncle. The next morning, Michael changes the dressing on her wound. She asks him why he hasn't contacted any of her relatives. At that moment, he tells her the painful truth. She no longer has any family. He knows this because he used to be a friend of her uncle. Later, Michael leaves to carry out his daily tasks, but Jessie, now alone, begins to feel anxious and suspicious. She finds a knife in the house and hides it to protect herself. That night, she wakes up from a terrifying nightmare. Michael approaches to reassure her, but she surprises him by brandishing the knife. He remains calm and speaks to her gently until she settles down. Then, he teaches her the proper way to hold a knife and defend herself if she ever faces danger. He gives her an important piece of advice: never pick up a weapon out of fear. Always stay calm. If you want to survive, you must learn to control your anger and your fear. As the weeks pass, Michael begins to care for Jessie as if she were his own daughter, making sure she is safe and well taken care of. Jessie grows very attached to his dog and spends long hours playing with him. Seeing her happy gives Michael a rare sense of joy. One day, Jessie realizes that the dog doesn't have a name, so she decides to call him Jack. It also becomes clear that she is a skilled chess player, something that greatly impresses Michael. At the same time, a government hearing is held in London, where Tony, the former head of intelligence, faces a harsh interrogation about his secret project known as Project Trisha. It becomes clear that this illegal program was spying on phone calls around the world to provide intelligence agencies with information, constituting a major violation of privacy. However, Tony defends himself, arguing that the system helped prevent numerous terrorist attacks and saved many lives. Meanwhile, Michael travels to the city where he buys medicine and some new clothes for Jessie while shopping. As he leaves, he unintentionally walks past a group of content creators filming a video without noticing them. Unbeknownst to him, Project Trisha captures this footage. The system scans his face and classifies him as a high-risk target. The alert is immediately sent to Luria, the new director. Intelligence technicians begin analyzing the data and successfully identify Michael's location. Upon reviewing old records, they discover that his name is linked to a government bombing incident. As a result, orders are issued to intelligence agents to capture Michael and, if necessary, eliminate him. On the other hand, Michael returns home with the medicine and begins treating Jessie's wound. They sit together to eat, and for a brief moment, everything feels normal. But Michael's instincts tell him that something isn't right. He looks through a scope from the window and spots a boat full of armed men rapidly approaching the island. Michael immediately realizes the danger. He tells Jessie to hide in the bathroom, orders her to lock the door from the inside and not make a sound until he comes back for her. Outside, the mercenaries advance cautiously, unaware that Michael has set deadly traps across the island. Suddenly, he switches on powerful lights that blind them and cuts a rope. At that exact moment, a massive rock falls from above, trapping several of them. A fierce battle erupts. As the mercenaries attempt to surround the house, Michael moves like a shadow, taking them down one by one. During the fight, one of the soldiers manages to enter the cabin. The dog leaps at him in defense, but the soldier fires multiple shots, killing it. He then grabs Jessie and tries to escape with her. Outside, Michael eliminates one of the attackers when he suddenly hears Jessie scream. Without hesitation, he shoots the man who was abducting her and rescues her. He tells her to hide again until he secures the house. When he enters the cabin, he finds his dog dead. He sits beside it, gently stroking it one last time, deep sorrow visible on his face. In that moment, Michael makes a decision. He will take revenge. After that, he takes Jessie and they leave the island by boat. At the intelligence headquarters, shock spread. The strongest team sent to the island has been completely wiped out. The officers begin asking, who is this man, really? As they dig deeper, they discover that his records were tampered with to conceal his true identity. It turns out that Michael Stones is not a terrorist as they believe, but a former elite operative who was declared dead 10 years ago. The real reason for his disappearance is revealed. He refused to carry out an order to assassinate a nuclear scientist. At the same time, Michael and Jessie arrive in a small town. Both are injured and on edge. Michael hands Jessie a gun and tells her, if anyone gets close, shoot without hesitation. At the intelligence headquarters, Luria watches the operation through a live feed, stunned. Who is this man? His skills clearly prove he is no ordinary terrorist. As a result, Ford decides to call in their most dangerous operative, a professional killer named Nelson. Meanwhile, our bald friend heads to a nearby house in search of medicine. Suddenly, a man appears and points a weapon at him. What he doesn't realize is that Jessie is standing quietly behind him, aiming her gun at his head to protect Michael. After that, the man helps treat Michael's wound. But this brief moment of peace doesn't last long. The homeowner's son alerts the police, and shortly after, the house is surrounded. Luria and her team continue watching the live feed as the father and his son attempt to escape. From a distance, Nelson fires a shot from his sniper rifle, hitting the father directly and killing him instantly. Michael manages to save the child, then grabs Jessie, and they escape through the back door. He fights his way through the police officers with remarkable combat skills, disarms them, takes control of a car, and speeds away, proving that the bald man is just as skilled behind the wheel. Nelson begins chasing them in another vehicle, firing shots during the pursuit, but Michael crashes into Nelson's car with force, forcing him off the road and disappears into the distance. Meanwhile, one of the intelligence analysts uncovers a shocking truth. Michael's face had been deliberately replaced in the system with that of another terrorist. In reality, Michael had once been one of their own, but his entire file was erased and his death was officially recorded using forged documents. Luria is shocked to find all records of his operations wiped clean. She realizes that the only person who might have answers is Ford. She contacts him, demanding to know why Michael's files were deleted. Ford claims that he himself created a secret unit known as the Black Unit, and that Michael was its best operative. He says Michael was a perfect soldier until he refused to carry out an order to assassinate a foreign official who posed a threat to national security. Ford insists that Michael rebelled after that and became a serious threat, advising her to use all necessary force to stop him. But Luria begins to doubt his story, so she orders her team to dig deeper. It doesn't take long before they uncover the truth. That foreign official was not a criminal, but a scientist named Chad, who was working on developing a free cure for cancer. Ford wanted him killed at the request of major pharmaceutical companies that stood to lose billions if the treatment succeeded. That is why Michael refused to carry out the order and turned against the intelligence agency. Ford monitors all of this through hidden surveillance cameras and realizes that Luria has discovered the truth and that she will no longer follow his commands. While driving, Jessie asks Michael if they are going to his family. He replies that he has no family because family makes a person weak and vulnerable to danger. They later arrive at a church to meet Booth, Michael's former partner, and a computer expert from the Black Unit. Booth is shocked to see Michael with a young girl, so Michael explains that Jessie simply found herself in the wrong place at the wrong time. At Booth's house, they hack into the system. Booth discovers that Ford framed Michael and linked his face to a terrorist profile. At that point, Michael asks Booth to protect Jessie while he goes after Ford. Booth hesitates at first, but Jessie notices his medication and immediately recognizes it. It's the same medicine her mother used to take before she died of cancer. Booth admits that he was diagnosed with the disease just 5 months ago, which shocks Michael and fills him with sorrow for his friend. The three of them decide to contact a man named Kamal, a dangerous crime boss who might be their last hope. But as Booth prepares the car, Michael senses that danger is near. Nelson has arrived. A fierce battle erupts between him and Michael. Both are elite professional killers, but Michael manages to wound Nelson just enough to escape with Jessie and Booth. During their escape, Jessie asks about the attacker. Booth explains that Nelson is Michael's replacement in the Black Unit, a younger and faster version of the man Michael once was, putting the bald man at a serious disadvantage. Later, Michael and Jessie separate from Booth and head to the city to meet Kamal. Jessie asks why she can't stay with him, and he tells her the danger is too great, that he must eliminate its source for everything to end. She begs him to promise that he will stay alive, but Michael remains silent. They arrive at a nightclub where surveillance cameras immediately detect their presence, and the system alerts both Ford and Luria. Each of them dispatches special teams to the location. Inside, Michael confronts Kamal, the powerful crime boss who believed Michael had died long ago. Michael demands that Kamal provide Jessie with a new identity and a safe route to Spain. At first, Kamal refuses, but Michael reveals that he has evidence of Kamal's human trafficking operations at the port. He threatens to hand over the shipping container locations to the police if Kamal does not cooperate. Although Jessie is distressed by the idea of traveling alone, Kamal is ultimately forced to agree. He provides her with a passport and a sum of money, instructing them to head to the port where someone will help her reach Spain. Michael accepts the deal, but before they can leave, agents from both Ford's team and Luria's team storm the nightclub at the same time. Instantly, Michael transforms into a killing machine, carving his way through the building, taking down dozens of officers and leaving behind a floor covered in bodies. Amid the chaos, one of the officers manages to grab Jessie and drags her toward a black van waiting outside. Michael calls Booth for help. Booth hacks into the surveillance cameras and guides Michael to the van's exact location. Michael charges into the street, eliminating anyone in his path, and pulls the terrified Jessie out of the vehicle. In that moment, Jessie finally realizes the true extent of the danger surrounding them. Michael and Jessie escape the club, but Nelson quickly resumes the chase. They eventually reach the port, where Kamal's men are waiting beside a boat. Before Jessie boards, she looks at Michael and tells him that all her life he has been the only family she has ever known. Michael promises her that he will stay alive. Suddenly, gunfire erupts. Michael pushes Jessie quickly onto the boat, and Kamal's men speed away with her into the darkness. He then turns to find Nelson approaching. Michael challenges him to a hand-to-hand fight, and a brutal final showdown begins between two of the Black Unit's finest operatives. Despite his aid, Michael proves that a lion remains a lion. After a brutal fight, he manages to grab a heavy metal pipe and delivers a fatal blow to Nelson, ending his life. With his mission complete, Michael disappears into the shadows. The next day, Ford is at his home when he notices that all his guards have been eliminated. He immediately realizes that Michael is inside. Facing him, Ford admits that Michael was the best weapon he ever had, until he stopped following orders. Michael responds that if his goal had been to kill for money, he would have become a mercenary instead of joining the Black Unit. Ford scoffs, claiming that money is the true power, and offers Michael a partnership to take control of the agency together. But Michael calmly replies that if he had wanted power, he would have taken it 10 years ago. Then, without any hesitation, he shoots him and kills him. 1 month later, Jessie is sitting in a quiet restaurant in Spain. Luria watches her through the Trisha system, certain that Michael would never leave Jessie alone. She realizes that Michael had been controlling everything from the shadows all along. Outside, Michael sends a small gift to Jessie's table, a chess piece shaped like a queen. When Jessie looks at it, she understands that Michael is still alive, watching over her from afar. She finally smiles, and so the story of this film comes to an end. Don't forget to write the name of the movie you'd like to see in the next video. Until next time.